if you like the first iteration of anything you do, like you're not doing it right because everything is going to evolve. And I think it's so easy to be like, I need this to be perfect before I even start. Like, to be completely honest, I hate my logo. I hate it. And the last like year, I have been like, I'm getting my branding down and I still haven't gotten the branding down. And there's a lot of like, now it has to, it's like top of my list because there's a lot of things that I'm working on that I need branding to be done for. But at the beginning, when I'm just seeing like, hey, what's like the interest level? You don't need a perfect logo, you know? But I sometimes think we think like, this is what I need in order to start. You don't. You just need to start.
Welcome to the Blue Rose Podcast. I'm your host, Becca Blue Rose, a runner, storyteller, and believer in creating a life that feels like your own. Some weeks it's just you and me, and other weeks I'm joined by women who are chasing their own version of a bold, unapologetic life. Together we explore what it really means to take risks and trust your own path. Today's guest is someone who turned scissors, glue sticks, and a little bit of courage into a thriving community. Janelle is the founder of Craft Club Salt Lake City, a creative gathering space for women that began in March of 2023 with a single collage night, and 15 people showed up not just to craft, but to connect. Since then, Craft Club has grown into something much bigger than an event. It's a space where friendships form, barriers come down, and creativity becomes a catalyst for community. Before launching Craft Club, Janelle worked in teaching and sales, and she'll be the first to tell you that leaving her job to pursue this dream was terrifying, but she did it anyways. In this episode, we talk about building community, starting before you feel ready, the behind-the-scenes realities of running events, and why fun and whimsy might just be the secret ingredients to growth in business and in life. If you've been waiting for permission to try something new, this conversation is for you. Let's welcome Janelle to the show.
Hi, my name's Janelle. I originally am from Pennsylvania, so I'm a transplant here to Utah. I love it though. And my backstory is I was a teacher for 7 years. So I taught first grade for a very long time, moved on to sales, and now I host Craft Club. And we pop up all throughout Salt Lake, growing to all Utah. I like to have a lot of fun. I love learning new hobbies. I go outside, I ski in the winter, we hike in the summer. I don't know, so I love doing all things, having fun with a lot of new friends. So it's a little bit about me.
Yeah. So when did Crafts Club actually start? And what did your first event look like? Or your first, even if it wasn't an event?
It started in March of 2023. That was our very first one. So our very first event was a collage event. My biggest thing is I just want like an easy barrier to entry because sometimes I think people see like crafting art and you're like, that's kind of hard. I'm not that girl. You are that girl. Like anyone can do it. So our first event, I think it was like maybe March 23rd or something like that. It was in March. I rented a space and it was like big enough to have like, I think we had like 3 6-foot tables, covered them all in magazines. And I posted, there's a group on Facebook called Utah Girls Make Friends. So that's where I posted, and it was a free event. That's how I started. I was like, come make a collage, make friends. Cause there's a ton of women on there who are looking to make friends. So our first one was we had about 15 girls come. A lot of them there was a good mix of my own friends that came to support. And then any of the girls who responded on my Facebook post, I like messaged them the day of to remind them, sent them like the address and all of that. So that was our very, very first one. And it's grown since then.
When did the seed get planted for Crafts Club? Now,
Okay, here's the story, and I have it shortened into some bullet points so that
I love it.
it's easy to digest. So I used to live I was in Provo, Orem area. I took night classes at UVU because I saw that they had adult I was like, oh, this is really cool. They had like woodworking, watercolor, like they had different like classes. So this is the very first seed that was planted. I guess we could go back and say like, I am a scrapbooker. I am like a collager. I like to do that. That's like, and I painted, I've done all the things. But then I started taking classes and I was like, this is sick. I was like, this is awesome. So I took the woodworking. I asked the teacher, I said, can I just come back and use the space? He said, no, you have to take a class. And I was like, I don't want to make this table again. So I just kind of started looking and I was like, there's really not like a space. And this was probably this was like 2016. So
Mm.
I was like, there's really not like a space like that. And it's kind of where that ended a little bit, where I was like, that would be really cool if there was something like that. So then fast forward, I quit teaching and I was at a sales job. At lunch, we were like, what if you could do anything, what would you do? And in between this, I also worked at Sundance doing events. And
Okay.
so I like loved it. So I was like, I've always been like, that would be a really cool space to be in. And then I was like, also it'd be really cool if there was like a place where we could go use things and then make stuff, be creative, whatever it was, woodworking, painting. There's a lot of different mediums you could do. So it's like, that would be really, really cool. So that's kind of where it got replanted again. It's like maybe 2022. So I thought about it a long time, blah, blah, blah. I would see things on Instagram of girls doing something similar. And I was like, and then I stumbled upon the Facebook group of Utah Girls Make Friends. And I was like, people really want to make friends. There's a place in New York that I saw on Instagram that was like, do you live in New York and are looking to make friends and make collages? And I was like, this is nuts. I like to do all of those things. I literally collage. I like to make friends. And like, we need something like this in Salt Lake because it's growing a ton.
Hmm.
So, um, I had this mindset at the beginning of 2023 that nothing matters, and in a good way, not in a bad way. Like
Yeah.
nothing matters. Like I watched a lot of TikToks of old people talking about how they wish they lived their lives, which is to just like do the things you want it to. So I meld all that together. And in March, I posted and I was like, we're just gonna we're gonna make it simple. We're going to do collages. And so then those were all of like the little things that got planted along the way to make me just do it, where it was like, because I think it's like you just then have to do it. You have to do something. And so me doing something was posting on the Facebook page, which felt scary because there's like 30,000 people in it. And you're always like, what if no one comes? And it was like 10, 15 girls. So it wasn't anything crazy. And,
Hmm.
but those were all the seeds that were planted along the way of like, I like taking classes. I like making friends. Here's this need, and I've hosted events before as my job. Like all of these things kind of came together to like be born of Craft Club. So,
Hmm. I love that. So then
mhm.
after you hosted your first event, kind of walk me through the trajectory of like kind of like how it's grown and gone
Mhm.
from there.
Yeah. So from that, I was like, I'll do one per month. So at this time I was working at Bamboo HR. I was doing sales. So I was like, I have the capacity to do one. And so I use like a couple different spaces. I used like, it was like a tattoo and piercing shop and they had a space and they had like people rent out like where they would do hair. And so we would use their space. And one time it was really fun because they were like, we're actually doing like a promo on if you want to get your ears pierced. So a bunch of girls went and got their ears pierced or like they got piercings. And I was like, that's kind of cool. So we did one per month. So March, April, and then May, I was like, oh, it's so warm out. Like it's getting nice outside. Let's go outside. And I went to Sugar House Park, reserved a pavilion, which was like $100. And then we did an event. We did probably 3 there. So the next 3 months, I think it was like May, June, July. I did them there. We did like charm necklaces, oven baked clay, and I got microwave ovens. And at Sugar House Park, there are plugs actually, and they worked. So we plugged some ovens in. So then I started posting on Instagram more consistently, probably around May and June, and
Mhm.
not even as consistently as I'm doing right now. Like, not to the degree that I'm posting now. Back then, I was just posting.
Mhm.
And then there's a coffee shop here Picnic SLC, and so they're right by Liberty Park. So she
Okay.
reached out and she was like, "Hey, like I see what you're doing, and they do something called art jams. So every Thursday they would have it was like come it's kind of like a bring your own craft. They would open back up. You can bring a craft and work on it there. You can grab coffee. They have food there. So, and they were like, what if you were to do one of the Thursdays for us? So I was like, sure. I was like, wow. And then I was like, oh, I should be reaching out to businesses. So this was like July of 2023. And I was like, oh, I should be reaching out. So I reached out to a couple other coffee shops. So I started getting that put in place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they all would sell out. So like we at Picnic, we took tea towels and then we got like citrus fruits. So lemons, limes, oranges, grapefruits, and you can cut them in different designs. There's a lot of different ways you can cut them and stamp them on the tea towels to design them. It turned out really, really cute. And then we did like again just we did collages at like a different coffee shop. So that's kind of how like so then I would say that was probably like the first big milestone of like, okay, wow, like we're in businesses, we're in coffee shops. Someone then was like, hey, you should reach out to HK Brewing. So HK Brewing is also here in Salt Lake. And so I reached out to them. They're such a cute bar. They're so cute. It's like they have like they brew their own kombucha. It's like Hans kombucha they have. And so super cute. So I went and I said, and they were like, we'll give you 30 seats. So I got 30 seats and we were going to do charm necklaces again because charm necklaces are always really popular. And we sold it out. And I actually oversold it. I have this like chronic problem of overselling because some people won't show. So all of a sudden, we were taking over a lot more space than I had told them that we were. But they loved it. I mean, like on a Tuesday night, it's like, sure, come bring 30, 40 people. So
Mm-hmm.
it turned out really good. So that was like another big milestone. And then it just kind of grew from there. So then it was like, okay, I can do 50 people, which was like before that, so the very first one was 15. I grew to 30 when I did Picnic. And then HK was like the first time that I did like 40 to 50. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
this is nuts. It was really cool. And the girls who came were so cool. It was so fun. The energy was awesome. Like it was awesome. So then after that, so kind of continued there. People would reach out. Then I started partnering with Two Row Brewing in Midvale. They have an even bigger space and they were like, let's see the capacity you can fill. So January of last year, we did vision boards and I sold it out at like 75 or 80, which
Wow.
is really, really nuts. I was just like, this is crazy. Let's see what we can do. And vision boards and collages are easier and to add more people. So then we kind of continued. We had more business. Like it's kind of been this ever
Like a
evolving thing
snowball.
of
Like
like,
it just kind of,
yeah.
yeah.
hmm And now I'm at the point where it's like businesses will reach out or people who want to partner reach out. I quit my job at Bamboo in end of April.
Okay.
So May of 2025 was the first like month that I did. And so I was like, let's see how this can go. I mean, it's terrifying. There's a lot of things that are terrifying about quitting your job and like banking on yourself. But I would say it was like, is there going to be a demand that will still, like, if I do more events, will the demand still be there? And it was. So,
I mean, as a girl in Salt Lake who wants to make friends and loves to craft, but maybe doesn't want to spend or doesn't have the money to go to a U class at night, all the
Mhm.
time. It's like
Yeah.
that is exactly what I want to be doing. And I love that. So I mean, even just seeing like your socials and stuff, it's just like there is such a like palpable vibe and just like energy that comes from it that is like so fun and so
Oh,
happy. And it's like come hang out with the girls. And I mean, this podcast is only women. And so not that we don't love our
agree.
men, but, like, it's just nice to find spaces that are like, I'm just here with the girls, like, doing
Mhm.
something fun, and so I was curious about, like, the behind the scenes of all of this. So,
Mhm.
like, I'm imagining like, in my head, I'm, like, envisioning, right, it's like, okay, there's the event, but then it's like, what happens behind it in terms of, like, sourcing all these materials and, like, how
Mhm.
much money you're putting into this?
It's a it and it's a question that people love to know because it's like, how do you? Because I even had the same question of, like, when I like, way back when I was taking classes at UVU, and then I took, like, a couple at the U as well. It's like, how do you make this? I don't know, like, like, that part of it is really interesting because the arts are just kind of a funky place sometimes. But at the
Yeah.
beginning, it was a lot. I mean, I funded it. It was pretty much just like putting on free events, and then I'd cover the cost of materials. So, and I think that's like an important thing because I think people are like, I want this, I want to do this, and I want it to also make money. But like, the very first part of it is you are just seeing if it even works. And so it's sacrifice on your own part.
Mhm.
So I was putting in, I mean, yeah, I was covering like rental fees, supplies, any materials that we needed. So now it's at a point where I do most of like the ticket prices going towards the supplies of how, like, so I would say maybe like 50 to 60% go towards supplies. And then
Mhm.
the rest is just for like time and labor, because that's one thing a lot of people do know, that like events are a very time intensive labor. It's a labor
Yes.
of love. So just, and there's a lot of like, there's a lot of things that you need to help run it. You know, like when you're paying for different softwares, like I'm sure you know, like you have to have we have a platform for people to sign up on. And we have like the website that also has cost in it. And this is all like stuff that came later on. But working that into like our budget as well, of like what
Mhm.
needs to be covered in order to keep it going, and then saving enough money for taxes. It's always fun.
Yes. I saw your
Um
tax video.
I was terrified. I was like, and I met with my accountant in like I met with in like August, and I was like, tell me I'm not doomed. Because again, I'm putting away money for that. And then it's also like I had to budget in money so that I could survive after after I think I had 3 months to survive off of after I quit my job. And then it was like, well, after those 3 months, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
So, which I think took me to, because I was like May, June, July. So around like August, around the time that I met with my accountant, I was like, it's kind of like a do or die. And
Yeah.
not in a way that feels like more dramatic. But anyway, so that's like the finance part of it, is like you do have to be like, and I'm gonna come on record, say I'm not a numbers, math, finance girl at all. At
Mhm.
all. So, like, that part of it is very hard for me. I do have my sister who does all like she does a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. So, um, she helps me with that and keeps things organized. So,
Mhm.
um, but like other things of like, is that it was like what else is behind the scenes stuff? Because I mean, there's a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, cause like, right, like, I mean, this is probably this is, like, the saying, right, is, like, people quit their 9 to 5 to work, like, all the time for themselves, and I think that,
Yeah.
like, that's probably very true, but I think when when you're someone looking at it and you see, like, your Instagram posts or whatnot, it's like, "Oh my god, that looks, like, so fun and so cool and la da da, and I really wanna do that, and that would be so cool," but then trying to get people, 1, to understand, like, okay, what goes into this, but then also 2, like, you can do it too, like, right? Like, you don't have to be
Mhm.
amazing at numbers to start a business, you just have to, like, have an idea and see if it works, and so just kind of, like, that behind the
Yeah.
scenes of, like, what people aren't seeing, but then also kind of giving them the mindset that, like, "I can do that," you know?
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, I'm an elementary education girl, and now I'm like running a business, you know? So it's like you don't have to. And I think one thing, even before all that, it's like you're not going to have it figured out. I think there is a saying that I have seen a lot and I've heard a lot, where it's like, if you like the first iteration of anything you do, like you're not doing it right. And maybe that's a little bit harsh, but like, because everything is going to evolve. And I think it's so easy to be like, I need this to be perfect before I even start. Like, to be completely honest, I hate my logo. I hate it. And the last like year, I have been like, I'm getting my branding down. And I still haven't gotten the branding down. And there's a lot of like, now it has to, it's like top of my list because there's a lot of things that I'm working on that I need branding to be done for. But at the beginning, when I'm just seeing like, hey, what's like the interest level? You don't need a perfect logo, you know? But I sometimes think we think like, this is what I need in order to start. You don't. You just need to start. You need to like post and do that. But I think like the other things, because yeah, you look at the social media, you're like, this is so awesome. And recently, I think there's like a reel that I have that's really doing well. So people are like, I want to do this. We need this in our city, which is always like, it's nice where it's like, okay, we need more of this. And so it's like, how do you like a lot of the behind the scenes, a big thing I would say is social media. That's like, I would say if I had to focus on anything, it would be like social media. I think it's like that's how you're going to get like a lot of buy-in, and that's what I like to focus. I like the social media part of it though. So I would say like I focus a lot on that. I guess for me where I'm at right now, big things are systems and getting things organized because without it, you can survive for a little bit, but then you get to a point and you're like, we need to have things organized. And so I would say that's another thing that kind of comes in a little bit. So at the point I'm at right now, like organizing all of like physically, I just got a new storage unit and I'm organizing it. I have a girl who she does a ton and she's very organized. Her brain works very differently than mine. So we got a bunch of shelving, we got a bunch of bins to like physically organize it because once like at the point that I'm at right now, like if I can like make that an organized system of like, hey, I'm gonna go and get paints. They're in these bins. Reds, pinks, and yellows are together. I know I need this many. And then it also makes it easier of like, how do we order more? So we need to order more reds. We need more of these colors. So then it's like, okay. So there's that whole system of like ordering, organizing it. What do we need more of? How do we do this? Like charms. I'm working on that right now of like, charms are a whole mess, but like you have to organize it in a way. So then, and you have to think like, I need it to be easy for me to store, but then also easy for me to set up because we do pop-ups. So we don't have a space and I have to like transport all of it. So like there's all of those things. It's like, okay, what do I need to even hold materials? Glue sticks. I need baskets. What do I need to cover the tables? I need butcher paper. I need tablecloths. So like those are a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. And then you also like, I guess the social media, you just have to always be like filming, like, this is what I'm doing. And I follow a lot of accounts that kind of go through how to grow and like businesses that are doing a good job of growing. There's a girl who I recently started following. Her name's Butter Girl. And her whole thing is like, she's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm starting a butter brand. And just talking about it and being really transparent and people can come along for the journey. And it seems easy, but when you start doing it, you're like filming, editing, making sure it's something you like, doing it. It takes like, I probably spend like at least 2 hours, like 2 to 3 hours a day doing that because I want it to be, so like, that's like a big piece of it. Then like the other piece that I'm at right now is setting, like working with venues, working with partners, working with like, so I have to like, I'm setting up meetings and I'm doing that, which cuts into my time doing other things of like posting the social media. I'm also making all the graphics for each event. And then, so my sister does all like the upkeep on like the website. So the website is something that needs to be maintained as well. So those are all the little things. And then the actual hosting of the event is like a whole nother thing that, you know, has a whole system that goes with it.
But I do think there's something awesome about like taking people on the journey with you and being like, oh, I did this wrong. And so, is there anything in your business so far that you've been like, that was just like a flop, or like that was just not the right thing to do?
Yes, there's been a lot. There's been so many. And the two
Mhm.
that come to mind the most. So when I quit my job, I was doing it full time. So before that, when I was doing it, probably all the months before I quit, so before April, so for about a year, two of my best friends, Allie and Chandler, were also helping. And the three of us were going to do it. We tried, like, we were figuring it out, but then life kind of hit them where they were like, Allie got a new job, Chandler's in MP school. And it's like, life just sometimes, like, like things just happen. And so I was like, okay, that's like, it was totally fine. Um, we had done mosaic coasters. So for coasters, we get circle and square, like just ceramic blank slates, and then all of the tiles that go with it. Like, anyway, I test ran it, the whole thing. So we had done that when I had like them helping me with it. So I quit. It's just me at this point. And I think it was June. I was like, oh, let's do mosaic coasters again. Like, it was so fun. It has a lot more steps that go with it. So I planned it out. I was like, okay, we're going to have the tiles are all here. And we were doing it at an outside venue. So it was really cute. We had the twinkle lights. I was like, okay, because you need buckets of water. I like got these big gallon, like 5-gallon buckets, filled them with water, sponge. I was like, man, I've thought of everything. Again,
Mhm.
no, it's just me. So then I'm like, and I, instead of using pre-mixed plaster, I was like, oh, I'll use this like powder plaster. That works. I was like, it'll be easier because then I'll pour the powder into like these bowls. We'll mix it. People will use it. They can just stay at their tables. What I didn't, because when I tested it, I did it immediately, right? So I'm pouring the powder plaster and then I'm like putting it on my coaster. I'm not thinking like, do we need this to be sitting out for like an hour so that people can be using it? It never crossed my mind. But when I was there, I was like, oh my gosh, like and so it was drying really fast. So I would mix it and then it was drying. Like we would use it and it was all different consistencies because I was like kind of like running around at this point. There was 50 girls. A lot of them would have questions, which I could have answered, but I was also making plaster for an hour and a half. And
Mhm.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is like, anyway, so it was like kind of a disaster. Some of the plaster was way too thick that it didn't like, because then the next step is you like wait 10, 15 minutes and then you take off the first layer. Some of it was
Mhm.
too thick that it wouldn't even come off. So like girls they had plaster as their coaster. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to die. Like, I just want this moment to be over. They were all so nice. And a couple of the girls started mixing plaster and they were helping out. So that was really nice. They had a lot of grace for me. There was a lot of girls that stayed and helped me clean up. But that was like, oh my gosh, because it was like, it felt like I had it planned out because I knew I was like, this one's more intensive. And I had it all planned out. And here's how it's going to go and blah, blah, blah. And it just took a mind of its own.
Mhm.
So I took a break from plaster after that. There was one more in November. We did dried orange garlands. And I did it last year, but we were again a lot smaller. So I dried all of the oranges. And so it was doable. But this year, when it was a bigger scale, and I was like, oh, I'll just dry them all myself. It's so easy. You just like put them in the oven, can pop on a movie, you do it for days. But I didn't dry them well enough and I didn't dry enough of them. And so they were kind of all mushy. And I was like, and you
Yeah.
cut, and then it's like, this is the end of me. This is the end. I did a horrible one. People hate it. I had someone rail into me in a feedback form, and I was like, deserved. I understand. It was deserved. But yeah. So we've had some snafus along the way, but you learn.
And what makes you get back up and just keep going after that? Because after that, I feel like I would wanna hide in a closet, but, you know.
Yeah, you just have people that help pick you up. You have to
Yeah.
surround, like, I think at November was like I was down for a minute. I was like, it went horrible. And I was like, I know I can do this. Anyway, so especially when you see it in writing and someone like writes you
Yeah.
paragraphs and it kind of reels into you as a person, it really takes a hit. But my sister really helped me. I had a lot of friends who helped me. And then like the community helps you, like this community is
Yeah.
built and like we all support each other. So like that is the only way.
And it's also like, I mean, I know you said it was deserved, but in my opinion, I'm like, well, at least there are girls that, like, are very understanding, and you're like, I'm just trying this out, and this is new,
Yeah.
and I'm workshopping it, and it's not perfect, and I feel like while it's, like, awesome when events and, like, everything goes seamlessly, it's almost nice for everyone there to be like, "Oh, like, she's human too, and, like,
Yeah.
she's just doing her best," and I obviously understand that it comes with more weight when, like, they're paying for it, but if
Mhm.
it's a free event, maybe there's
Right.
a little more, like, leeway, but I don't know, was that a free event or did people pay for it?
No. No, it wasn't. So I was
Okay.
like so then we did so it was like we sent out it was like, "Hey, like, here's a $10 coupon, so, like, $10 off of any
Mhm,
of our events, so, like, please, like, we are like, we love the like, it's we I love the feedback. The feedback
yeah,
is, like, what has, like, pushed us into different directions,
mhm,
um, and it helps you, like, honestly kinda stay on your toes where you're like, "Oh, I can't really get super lazy about something," or I can't, like like, it just is like, "Oh, we need to, like, make sure that, like, we're doing our best," and push you to
mhm.
that, so, yeah.
How
So,
do you come up with all the craft ideas?
a lot of times I have a lot of girls send me ideas. I love
Okay.
when, like, because I like to know, like, I like, the social media is like an open book of my life, and so
Mhm,
I like to make it like a place where people feel like they can be like, "Hey, this would be really fun. We should do this or we should do that." A lot of things go based off of season as well, so I like to kind of stick with that, like, in, like, the winter months, it's, like, cozy things, and you get into, like February is going to be, like, Valentine's, galentines, and just, like,
mhm.
finding things that match that. I'm also on Pinterest and TikTok a lot, so there's
Okay.
always ideas that can come off of that. I also like to pair things with the venues that we work with.
Mhm,
So, like, for example, Pilates. We've done Pilates and it's like, oh, like we'll do wellness. So we'll like make a salt scrub or a sugar scrub or, so like something more wellnessy. We'll make like, we've done like rosemary hair oil, like things like
that's
that that are
awesome.
just kind of like fun and cute that like match it. Like
Mhm,
we're partnering with Norcova at the end of this month. We're going to do sound bath and then we're making like little like sun catchers. You can like hang them in your car.
mhm,
So, and I also just have like as I do them, like a running list of like, here's what we've done, here's what people really like. Um, and I'll like ask friends what they're doing so we can include that. And anywhere I can get an idea from, we'll do it. Or yeah, people love to be like, hey, we should do this. And I'm like, let's do it. Like we did vision boards this week and there was a girl who I know and she came and she was like, she like brought her crafts and it was really cute. She's like, I made these like Japanese, like, it's like a different way to do what did she call it? It was, like, really thin paper, and you can, like, dip it, and you can design it with different inks, and you just dip it in water,
okay.
and then you let it dry. She's like, "I
That's
use it
fun.
for, like, my junk journaling," and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool. We should do that." She's like, "Yeah, let me know, and I'll come and, like, help teach it." And I was like, "Sick. Let's do it."
Yeah,
'Cause, like, the community aspect is so important too, where,
yeah,
I don't know, I want to include the girls. So, it was fun that she brought it, and she was like, "I wanted to show you what we're doing." So
yeah, that's awesome. So for someone listening that's like, "Okay, I wanna make friends."
Mhm,
Why do you think what do you think it is about crafts that help people make friends? If someone is gonna come to one of these events and they're like, "I don't know anyone. I'm nervous to come. I'm not good at crafting." Why
mhm,
should they come? And, like, what is your advice for, like, walking into that room and, like, trying to make friends and make connections?
mhm. So the first one of like it's really interesting actually. I feel like when you're crafting and I actually researched it, it's called I wanna say like horizontal you think I would remember it if I researched it, but it's like horizontal something, where when you are like doing something like with you and also like when you're doing stuff with your hands, I feel like it like brings everyone's walls down. It's like easier to connect. It also gives you a point, be like, oh, like that's really cool what you're making. It kind of gives some sort of conversation piece, but you're like, everyone's walls are brought down and you're just kind of like there because it's intimidating, right? It's
Mhm,
intimidating to like walk into a space and be like, I don't actually know a single person here. So, I would say it like the craft piece of it is like it just it brings your walls down and it just, like, helps people to connect. Um, And it's funny you bring up the friend piece. So again, in the feedback form, someone was like, so we have designated places, like they're called like solo crafter tables. Girls who
Mhm.
are coming by themselves can sit at that table. It kind of is helpful to be like, oh, everyone here also came by themselves. Because a lot of times I'll get questions of like, do people come by themselves? I'm really nervous to come by myself because like I don't will other people. And I'm like, yeah, like so many girls come by themselves. So it's
Mhm.
nice to be like, okay, I know I can go to this event and there's going to be a place for me to sit with other girls who are also in the same boat as me. So that's been one way we've helped with that. But then in this feedback, this was actually this week. Someone was like, "Hey," they were like, "I thought it'd be like a little bit easier to like make friends because there's a lot of girls who have made friends. We've had a lot of like friend anniversaries that come back, and they're all born at this table, which is so fun." Um, so I was like, "Oh, interesting," because I'm not sitting at the tables all the time, and
Mhm.
I chronically overshare. So I feel like for me, I go in and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And I always like, I make sure to go around to each table and talk to everyone at the tables just to like help people feel comfortable. They know who's running it, they know who I am.
Mhm.
But then there was still, it was like, oh, it was still like, I wish there was something else. So this week, actually, we started, we just did like, it was like a quick thing I could turn around in 12 hours for our next event. And we just did like question prompts, which are really fun. It was like, how early do you get to the airport? If you were, which part of a cheeseburger are like you? Are you whatever? Or are you like, how many alarms do you set? Like simple things that people can answer and it sparks a conversation.
Mhm.
Uh, so to anyone who would want to come and is looking for that piece specifically, I think it's a great time to come because that's exactly what I'm focusing on. It's like my big focus this year because I'm bringing in people to teach. I want to like up the art and the crafts that we do. So like maybe that's covered a little bit more. And I do a lot of like making sure that people are connecting better and seeing what I can do to help foster that connection in the community where
Mhm.
people are finding that because it's such a big piece of what we need, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Have you read, The Art of Gathering?
I've started it and I like
Okay.
and so I want to finish it. I'm chronically horrible at finishing it. Have you read it?
I've read bits and pieces of it also, like,
Yeah.
I'm kind of in a little bit of a book funk at the moment, so
Huh?
I'm doing a lot of audiobooks, so I
Okay.
maybe would like to read it because I actually hosted a craft night at my house on Thanksgiving to make homemade Christmas cards,
Cute.
and I was, like, very nervous because I was like, I've never hosted anything, I don't know how to, like, host a craft night, and
Mhm.
so my coworker actually gave me that book, and she was like, "Here you go, like, read this before," and I saw the, like, question prompts or, like, the other one was, like, having craft stations to, like, move people around the room, and it, like, moves the energy around the room, and so that
Yeah.
more people will talk and, like, have a chance to interact, and so, but there was some
Mhm.
cool nuggets in there, so
Yeah, it's been something I've been thinking I don't know, I just have been thinking about it a lot because I talked to the girls about this at the last event because I was like, "Do people like question prompts?" Like, or it's like on your name tag, like, write your name, where you're from, and then I have, like, little stickers of if it's your first time or if you've been before, so people know, like, "Oh, this is their first time here, they've been here before." And I was like, "But I taught first grade," and I was like, "Sometimes I feel like I'm teaching or I'm treating adults like six-year-olds because these are all things that I would do in my class." And
Mhm,
so I had a hard time with it, but then, like, one of the girls was like, "Well, we have this big return to, like, whimsy and crafting and kind of getting back to where we were as kids. So, like, maybe that is like" because I think people like it because I think that was my biggest, like, fear of, like, I don't want this to be cringy or weird or feel like an interview. But it
mhm.
is this, like I think if you do it in a way my birthday is next week, and so I'm, like, thinking about hosting a party, and I, like, went on a deep dive last night on TikTok of, like, what people do to help people feel more comfortable, and that's, like, kind of like what you were saying of, like, moving around, having, like, things or, like, just, like, having things that people can interact with in a way that doesn't feel weird.
Yeah. I do agree though that we're returning to I love the word whimsy. I love that.
Mhm.
I don't know who said that, but, like, do you know who Sarah Blakely is, like, the founder of Spanx?
Oh, yeah, she's amazing.
She's incredible. She's, like, my
Yeah.
idol, and I feel
Yes.
like she talks like, she uses that word a lot and is like, "More whimsy, more fun, like,
Mhm.
you don't need to know everything," and I just
No.
love that mentality, and I do feel like, more fun, more color, more
Yeah.
fun energy, like, the vibrant is kind of, like, what we are going back to. Because I almost feel like I don't know, I feel like the world has a way of, like, muting us a little bit. I mean, maybe a lot of it.
Oh, a lot,
Um,
yeah.
a lot of it. So, I was trying to be gentle, but
I
yeah.
know, yeah.
And so I do love that and, like, finding a way to, like, play and use your hands and,
Mhm.
maybe not not be on your phone as much and just, like, be present with what you're doing. So,
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, we need it. We need a lot of it.
Yeah. How do you hold space for, like, dreaming bigger and then being like, "This is where we are right now," and then,
Mhm.
"How the heck do I get there?"
Yeah, that's a good question because I have, like, big goals that I'm like, "Oh, this would be so awesome." Like, it'd be so cool to do, like, retreats or, go somewhere and it's like we do, like, a weekend and it's like a women's thing or I, like, help with I'm like a piece of like some sort of retreat anyway. So it's like fun things to like dream about, but it's like, okay. But I also think it's like I have to be realistic about where I'm at right now, which is like
Mhm,
so far from where I was a year ago. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There's always balance in it. But I think for 2026, my number one goal is to get like branding down. I also want to get merch out. I think that'd be really fun to have like fun little like craft girl merch.
mhm,
I'm trying to think of, like, a fun way to do it. Um, but my big I guess, like, my consistency goal is I wanna work with the community better. I think it's easy to get caught up in your own world, and I think that was a lot for me last year. I got caught up in, like, I can do everything. I can do these things, and it feels a little bit scary to let people in to it. I mean, I have, and I've gotten burned by it, so I'm, like, a little bit cautious. So it's like but I wanna bring that piece in and have, like, experts come in and teach us how to watercolor, how to draw. So I think that'd be really, really fun, and then just I'm working on growing a team. So, like, having, like, managers in a way that can help because I can't do I'm at a point where I can't run every event. And there's a
mhm,
lot of incredible women in our community who can and who are would be like who are like such a big piece of it. So I want to include the women in the community to be a part of it as much as they can. So if I had girls that were like running events here, I would think it'd be really I did one in Logan last year. I just don't have, like, the bandwidth in me to drive up there all the time, but if I was able to, like, get Logan set up, I have a girl in Ogden who could run Ogden, then we could go to Utah County, and so that it's, like so that is more accessible to people in those areas because we'll have, like on Monday, we had a girl drive down from Logan, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so far." And so I want it to be more accessible to people because this is something that people really need. So I think
mhm.
that's like a big push for me is just to be able to like get it going in other places. I think it would be really fun. And I also like I did a few corporate events last year and I think this is my own personal vendetta. 'Cause I love and hate corporate America, but I think corporate America needs more whimsy, it needs more fun, it needs more creativity because it
Mhm.
makes you more productive, it helps us work. So I would love to get into corporate and have it be more consistent than what it was last year.
Yeah, I definitely think corporations would love to do that. I mean,
Mhm.
at least I think they should because I think everyone
Yeah.
needs that and needs,
Yeah.
like, a 2-hour afternoon session of just, like,
Right?
crafting. Because then
Exactly.
yeah, I do think it does help people, like, I have recently got more into, like, crafting again, and
Mhm.
so I have these, like, they're sitting right here, like, I got these, like, acrylic markers.
They're
I
so
am
fun, I
They're
love them.
amazing.
Yeah.
I am not a painter, I, like, cannot
No.
but these are so forgiving, and
Yes.
my favorite thing to do now is I get, like, blank cards on Amazon, and then they have, like, the
Mhm.
cute little sticker on the back, and just,
Mhm.
like, hand making cards for people is, like, my
Yes.
new favorite thing to do, but, like,
Uh-huh.
again, like, there's no, like I don't know if there's any, like there's no purpose behind it. It's just like, oh, I just want to like sit and craft. Like that's all I want to do. So
But that's the thing though, is that's what it should be. Because I also, okay, this is like going back to when I was teaching. The kids had so much, like a lot of the kids had so much anxiety. And I was like, you're 6 and you go home and then you go to soccer practice and then you go to this music thing and then you're in a concert. And because we would do this in my classroom, and one time we made this huge mural and I would put music on. They got to free create like a circle. They just painted it and they loved it. And like one of the kids, I was like, and they're like, we don't get to do this. Or that's what he said. He was like, no, I just always have something to do. And I think even as adults, it's the same thing where it's like, there doesn't have to be a purpose behind it. It doesn't have to be perfect. But like, we need, I don't know, Brene Brown says something about like, she has this whole thing, but it was like completing your circle. And sometimes it's like, it could be going on a run, it could be swimming, or it could be like creating something like cards. And I don't know, I personally love card making. So I am like obsessed that you're doing it.
yeah,
It's fun.
it's such a fun thing to do, and to just send a card to someone for absolutely no reason at all is
No,
like
yeah.
my friend has like this address book that she started keeping, and I'm like, that's such a good idea because like my friends move, and then I'm like, wait, where's your address? And like,
Mhm.
so I like really have gotten into it. But speaking of being busy all the time, I mean, as a 6-year-old, that's kind of crazy, but I feel like, as we get older, our time is just like filled all the time. And there is
Mhm.
something, and I'm not the first person to say this, but there's something about like being bored and like
Yeah.
just letting yourself do nothing, but like not doing nothing. And there's nothing wrong with like watching TV or whatever, but like doing nothing in the sense of like, yeah, I'm creating or I'm just
Mhm.
being and existing versus like, oh, I have like a 5 o'clock and a 6 o'clock and an 8 o'clock, and then I gotta go to
Mhm.
bed and I gotta wake up at
Yeah.
5 a.m. And yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. No,
So
yeah, because our lives can get so bogged down, but when you're just like, I don't know, there's there is like being like tangible. That's why it's like the analog stuff is all coming back, where it's like, we're gonna make cards and send them in the mail because no, like it's so fun to get a card. And it like
mhm.
means so much. It builds everyone up. So
Yeah.
I agree
Yeah.
with you. You need it.
Well, as we kind of come to the end here, one question I like to ask everyone is if you've received a piece of advice in your life that has stuck with you, what would it be? And if you could give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be?
There's 3 main points. It's love your family and your friends. I think it's easy to kind of let those connections go sometimes, but like keep them strong in your lives. Like take risks. I think that's like a big thing that I really like right now is just like taking risks and just like doing it. It's so cool to see when people live very true to themselves. That's like what I like to keep in my life of like, wow, this person's doing it. The other one's just to have fun. I guess to have fun is from the last 6 months of my life have felt a little bit bogged down, but like including whimsy and fun into your life is so important and it like improves the quality of your life. So like take the big risks. You need to sacrifice a little bit of time for whatever it is that you need to do, but don't forget about yourself and have fun would be.
Mhm.
If I could tell my younger self something, I know what I would tell myself right now, just be loosen up a little bit, have fun. But I think back then would be just to like be more open, be more open to things, to people. I just feel like that's why we're here, to
Mhm.
like experience life. So
Yeah.
nothing super profound, but it's helped me. It's helped me in this last few weeks. But do whatever it is you think you can do. I saw a TikTok that was like, if someone else has it, why can't you?
Thanks for listening to the Blue Rose podcast. If you love this episode, please hit follow, leave a review, or send it to a friend who's building their own bold life. Keep trusting yourself, and I'll see you next week.